and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then I just want to say hi, my name is Lara and this channel is all about productive and purposeful living. So if this sounds like something you want a little bit more of in your life, please consider subscribing and click the bell so that you will be notified of when I upload. It is every Thursday. Today we are talking about how to effectively schedule your remote work day. So because I am all about helping you out here on my channel, I want to give you really practical, easy, tangible ways that you can make progress towards scheduling your day. So let's jump straight to it. First off, check your emails. Now this is kind of a good one to start with because usually it's something that everyone instinctually wants to do at the start of their workday anyway. This is a great way to find out what you already have coming into your workday before you craft your to-do list. So the trick here is that you don't want to respond to emails, because also if you're anything like me, do not respond to emails first thing in your workday, because sometimes it takes a little bit for your brain to kick into gear. So you just want to scan through and see what you may need to deal with today. Next is of course to start writing your to-do list. The most important thing is that you are writing things down and emptying it out of your brain. And at the same time, you want to think about the way that you write these things down. You want to make sure that they are actionable tasks and not just headings. The clearer you write down your task, the easier the execution of that task will be. As Brian Tracy likes to say, 1 minute of planning is worth 10 minutes of execution. So the more simple effort you can put in at this end of the process, the faster getting through it will be at the other end. If you are unsure if the tasks that you have written down are in fact actionable items, then here's a really good method of figuring out if they are. Think about if you handed this list of stuff over to a complete stranger to do, would they understand the task that is needed? Would it be clear to them what action they would need to take? The other way to tell whether or not it's an actionable task is if it starts with an action word. Email Alex, talk to someone, write essay. If there is an action word at the start of it, chances are it's an actionable item. Now that all of these actions are out of your brain, we can start to prioritize and organize them. So when you think about prioritizing for the day, there's a couple of things you want to consider. First of all, consider 80-20. What 20% of things, if you get done, will be the most productive things you could have done with your day? What will give you the most amount of result? Next is what is most important. What ranks most important on that list of things? What is close to a deadline? What actually requires your attention? A good rule I set myself for this is that you only have 2 priorities for your day. Anything else is bonus time and you can get to the rest of these action items on your list. But if there were only 2 things that you could get done with your day, what are those 2 things? Put them in a big bold heading at the top of every page you work on so that you remind yourself that if you can only get 2 things done today, it is these 2 things. So now that we have kind of figured out all the things that we want to get done with the day, the things that we want to focus on for the day, let's actually sit down and get to the fun part, scheduling. If you are brand new to calendar blocking, then I will link a video that I've made all about time blocking up here and down below for you. The first block that we want to allocate is of course our planning block. This is actually the system of stuff that we did earlier in the video, but you of course want to make sure you are assigning time to it. So what I like to do is I assign 2 blocks of time a day that are allowed to be meeting blocks. In separating these, 1, it means that all of my meetings will already have separation time in which I can be disengaged from a computer. It also means that I don't overload myself with meetings and then run out of time to actually do work. And if you don't use your meeting block for meetings, if you don't have enough to fill those meeting blocks during that day, you can simply assign that time to any of your other actionable tasks. Next is to allocate your priority blocks. So this is the chunks of time that you dedicate to your priority tasks. Now keeping in mind that these may take up your entire day, as they should, because this is the stuff that you said yourself was the most important essential work to get done today. Next on the list is break blocks. Break blocks are really important to put in, especially when you are working remotely, because it's so easy to run in one thing into the next. It's also really easy to spend your whole day in your office, which you shouldn't. Sitting down over an incredible period of time is no good for your health, and it's also no good for your brain and your focus. Give yourself a lot of small breaks. Get up and go for a walk. Go and grab a bit of water. The most important thing is that you leave your office space. Because remember, unlike an office, we aren't doing things like walking to meetings anymore. We aren't doing things like walking to get lunch. All of this stuff has kind of stopped existing. So it's really easy for us to get suckered into staying so stationary. By scheduling these times in, it's also telling our brain that these things are just as important as our work time. Step one in this process, of course, is to turn off all email notifications. There is no reason for it to go bing or to have a little pop-up menu in the corner of your screen. And of course, allocate times in your day that you can check emails. I myself check emails about twice a day. I do it first thing in the morning, 3 times really, because I do it first thing in the morning to plan, and then I do another session afterwards where I actually respond to emails, and then I do one more session right after lunch, because that gets my brain back into work mode really easily. Now I know that some of you are probably freaking out about this already. I would counter by saying what is so important that it can't wait for a few hours. Because if there is something that genuinely crosses that line, trust me, they're not going to email you, they're going to call you about it instead. Really take the time to think about your planning. Again, a minute worth of planning is worth 10 minutes in execution. The more time you spend at that part of your day, in this planning session, in this scheduling time, the better your day is and the more you will inevitably get out of it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.